Welcome back on board the Starship, and we're talking with historian Alan Wilson. And we were talking just before the break, Alan, about the 10 tribes of Israel. And we said that, in your books you've described how they came to Britain from Lemnos. Now, is there any evidence from before this time of the 10 tribes of Israel?
Well, around in 1948 they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. Well, not everybody. The Dead Sea Scrolls are generally on, I think, papyrus or that type of writing material, and they're in Aramaic, the Aramaic alphabet. But they also found 2 copper scrolls, and the copper scrolls are inscribed not in Aramaic and not in the Aramaic alphabet language.
Okay.
Now, Jim Michael of Kentucky, researching there, came to exactly the same conclusion as we did in 1994, that it's the Colburn alphabet.
Again, right. Okay.
And so you've got the Colburn alphabet in Kentucky, found by Michael in Kentucky. I went out to see him, went to a Baptist seminary there, had a look at the pictures, and it's the Colburn alphabet. Right. What has happened is that if you look at them, these copper scrolls, they have been sliced up to get them unrolled, but there are holes all along the top and holes all along the bottom. So once upon a time they were flat plates nailed to a wall, and someone must have ripped them from the wall, because there are tear marks from the holes, top and bottom, rolled them up and put them in this clay jar or whatever.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you wouldn't do it. Now, we think therefore it's been ripped off a temple wall or something, but they do read into the Welsh language. So it's the same as Etruscan. You take the Etruscan or the other symbol, you put the modern letter underneath, because we've got the cipher, thanks to Llewellyn Shawn, and then you look up a Welsh dictionary and you got the word, and you can read the copper scrolls. So you're right back there. Further back, a large wrapping sheet, that you call it the shroud, is now in Yugoslavia.
Right.
And this shroud, the Zagreb shroud, about 30 feet long, 30 inches wide, is inscribed totally with the same Colburn alphabet. Okay. So it goes right back into Egypt.
Right. Fascinating. Okay, now another one of your books, Alan, is the discovery of the Ark of the Covenant, and I'm fascinated by that because you've uncovered various pieces of evidence which basically chart the path of the Ark of the Covenant from the Middle East over to Britain, basically. Can you explain what evidence you have and what makes you believe that it's in Britain?
Well, when we were doing the Etruscan stuff, we did little cups and vases with little words and little phrases on and all sorts of artifacts. And then we moved up to sentences written where there's a statue and a bit of writing on it. Or in the Etruscan tombs, there are frescoes on walls and a little bit of writing here and there. And then we moved up to the big, they call them Cephasuses, it's C-I-P-P-U-S, keepers. And they're great big slabs with inscriptions, and we went along further and we found things. There's one big bronze tablet, which would be enormously expensive bronze, and it's got 3 sections of writing on it. And in it, it tells how the people are in a place where they're not happy, and there are great storms and pestilences, so they leave and they follow a little cabinet riding in a cart. And they come to a place where they are happy. I'm paraphrasing it, obviously.
Yeah.
Then the second time they are taken away from where they're happy to a place where, again, they're unhappy. And again, they follow the little cabinet that rides in the cart. You see what? And they are now in a place where they don't want to be. And then the third section tells how they take off. This is the phrase, they take off again, right? And they go away from this place where they're unhappy, and they follow the little cabinet in a cart until they come to a seashore, and they take ships and go where they are now. Okay. Well, we take that, because there is a migration of this sort from Asia Minor recorded by Herodotus, going to Italy, you see? Okay. A big migration. And we take that as the journey from Egypt to Israel. Second, the deportation between 740 and 702 by the 4 or 5 successive Egyptian emperors, Tiglath-Pileser, Shalmaneser V, Sargon, Sennacherib, so on. They deported hundreds of thousands. I mean, one deportation, 200,000 people.
Is this the 10 tribes?
Took them up north, deported them, leaving only the 2 tribes.
Okay.
And so that's the second section. And the third section is where Sennacherib is murdered by 2 of his sons. Civil war erupts in Assyria, and they take their chance and head off through Asia Minor, through Turkey. And they go to the Dardanelles area, they take ship, and they go to Italy. Okay. Half the people go, according to Herodotus.
Okay.
The other half stay. Now, that would fit again. The little cabinet riding in the cart we think is the ark. I don't think it can be anything else.
Right. So the other half had to be off.
It either goes to Italy or it comes to the UK.
Okay.
One of the 2.
Right.
Now, if you live in Cardiff and you've got any interest, certainly when I was young, there's a North Cardiff legend or story, folk tale, call it what you will. And it says that there's a giant or large wooden cabinet or box. And the box contains a great treasure. But it's guarded by 2 Cigrangoa, giant ravens. Now, it doesn't take a genius to see the Ark of the Covenant containing the stones, Moses' tablets or something, and on the top are the 2 cherubim with their wings fiercely guarding the Ark, you see. Because the cherubim wasn't a little angelic figure.
I've covered that in a program, actually. Yeah,
ferocious.
The highest rank of angels, which were
it was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
You didn't want to meet him. So somewhere north of there, well, in modern times, people were going out having a Sunday with their metal detectors looking for this.
Uh-huh.
It goes right up to Rhondda and over to Maesteg, that area. They don't know what it is. About 15 years ago, 2 brothers from the top of the Rhondda, out one Sunday with their sandwiches and their metal detectors. They sat down on a mound, and one of them forgot to put his metal detector off. And of course, it goes ping, 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 and they thought, oh, they'd found it, but they hadn't.
Right.
They'd found £90,000 worth of Roman coins.
Okay.
But people were looking for this object. Now, we thought, hang about, this is the little box that rides in the cabinet. Because if the people come from Lemnos under Brutus and they come here to the UK, then here we are, we've got the Ark in the UK.
Right.
And this is the zone.
Right, okay.
So we're in an area, a zone.
Right, okay. Now, you then started looking at ancient mounds, didn't you, Alan?
Yeah, my colleague...
Which brought new evidence, you know, and basically eventually guided you to the location.
There are large earth mounds scattered right across Pasa Gwent and Glamorgan and up to Brecon. Maybe 50 miles that way and, you know, east to west and 30, 35 miles north to south.
Okay.
There's another great big patch of them down in Pembrokeshire, these mounds. My colleague said to me, what's the name of that? Because he's a Newcastle man. I'm half Newcastle and half Cardiff, father and mother. And I said, oh, bloody, it means ferocious warrior.
Right.
And I started thinking, hold it, you know. And I said, that's what the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Arabs and the Hebrews called the constellation of Hercules.
Okay.
See? Forget the Romans, forget the Greeks, leave them out of it, because they're misleading. The concentration on them is wrong.
Right.
So we already knew there was another huge mound over to the east, and that's called Tumbalum, means the he-goat.
Right.
The billy goat. Well, hang about, the constellation main star Hercules, and then you've got Capricorn, the goat.
Right.
So we knew that we were looking perhaps at the main stars, the first and second magnitude.
Right. The brightest
constellations.
stars. Yeah.
Up on the hill then, down below, just outside Cardiff, the Garth Mountain, there are 3 mounds in a row, 2 big ones and 1 little one. Well, you know the Adrian Gilbert and Beauval business of the 2 big pyramids and the little one, the Belt of Orion.
Yeah. Orion's belt, the Giza pyramids, yeah, we all know
in
that.
In relation to these others, that was in the right position.
Okay.
Now, once you know 2 or 3, you can triangulate, and you find the pole star.
Okay.
And we did, we triangulated, and we found a standing stone.
Okay.
So we know at the pole star. And from there, you could work out all these other mounds.
We've got a map here. I'll just unfold it on the desk. which basically, I mean, you may not be able to see it too well, but you've charted on here. This is the pole star here. Am I right? Yeah. So where there's a huge standing stone.
It's not huge, but it's a standing stone.
Okay, it's standing stone, and there are many other. Well, how many ancient mounds are there marked on this map, Alan? I mean,
well, we've got 50 or 60 located.
50 or 60.
Yeah.
And you believe that all of these mounds represent a bright star?
Yes,
or a
well,
constellation?
it can't be otherwise.
Right.
I mean, it's difficult to see it any other way.
Okay.
You look for, Taurus must be over there, and they're in the middle of it. An estate in Cardiff is a mound,
I mean,
you know.
And what about, so that means that if it was the people from, you know, Assyria or the 10 tribes that made these mounds, that means they must all be after 500 BC. Is that, would that be right? Or?
Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
The first migration is from Syria to Britain with Albine.
Right.
Masses of evidence for that dug up by the great Leonard Woolley.
And what year was
Didn't
that?
realise it. He was excavating 1922 to 34. Got overshadowed by Tutankhamun, but his discoveries were greater.
Right. But what year were the discoveries from? Would you say?
Well, they would have come into Britain, the Syrians. Right? That's where you get the name Surrey.
Right.
That's why in the Odyssey, Homer. In the Odyssey, Ulysses says to his farm bailiff, "Where are you from, actually?" "I'm in for the great island out in the Western Ocean called Surrey." Right. Surrey, you see?
Right, okay.
There's a hell of a lot mix. But the point is that we now knew that these were star mounds.
Right.
And we also knew that we had the two migrations pegged down, because the archaeologists will tell you there are two sudden eruptions in Britain of huge, high-quality metalworking cultures.
Okay, Alan. Well,
and they come out of nowhere.
Right. Well, we'll come back to the Ark of the Covenant in part 3. I'm going to change the subject entirely now because it's time for the Artist of the Week, where we feature a music artist or a video artist.
Why not?
And this week it's Steve McGee, who's produced a fantastic video, and it's all about the UFO cover-up. And I'm not quite sure you would class this as rap music, or I'm not really up on modern pop groups, but I'm going to don my Steve McGee glasses and take a listen to this.
Oh, I'm just taking a dog out. It's a bit late to be going over the woods now, isn't it, son? It's alright, it's not like I'm going to get abducted or anything.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession.
There is a small group of people all over the world who are awakening, who are beginning to understand that they've been living their life actively.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society. The very word secrecy is repugnant. The very word secrecy is repugnant.
BLF to the top, BLF full of low, BLF in your home, BLF drops, and BLF to the top, BLF full of low, BLF in your home, BLF drops, and BLF to the top, BLF full of low, BLF in your home, BLF drops, and BLF to the top, BLF full of low, BLF in your home, BLF drops, and you don't think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day turns out to be the same way. See all these things running in my brain, I wish I never done cocaine. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day turns out to be the same way. See all these things running in my brain, I wish I never done cocaine. The sort of things that makes you go insane, the sort of things that make you look out of place. You're the odd one out, you really think we're the only ones that are living in space. BLF to civilized show. I'm the one who's sitting in front row. I'm the one who tell all about you. All the stuff that your secret people hide. But the truth's being kept from my needing eyes. I hope certain people will realise that we've been living in loads of lies. Stuff that I've seen, it gets worse than an extraterrestrial being. It gets worse than a UFO chasing me. It gets worse than an alien abductee. Non-terrestrial officer. NASA, you if you would like to research Gary McKinnon, you will find that they're saying he's the world's worst hacker. Some could be fact, some could be science fiction. Undeniable truth, false. Goddamn, this shit's an addiction. Whether you believe me or not, I don't care. It's your time that's wasting on the clock. Did you know there's structures on the moon and a UFO in a crater that got stuck? They wanted to know the truth, you might as well just be saying the end of your life. With all this crazy shit that's going on, all these sly people, they let walk by. They're watching us here day and night. They control our life and that ain't right. They're living normal day-to-day life. Stuff that I've seen, it gets worse than an extraterrestrial being. It gets worse than a UFO chasing me. It gets worse than an alien abductee. Non-terrestrial found out searching all these years with your pain, heartbreak and paranoid fears. So it's sitting there right on top of your mind. It's about the only thing you talk about all the time.